Hi, everybody. This is Gad Saad. Hope you're doing well. Earlier this morning, I was watching the news and I saw a part of a speech by Joe Biden where he reiterated that the United States is a systemically racist country. And apparently, if you repeat it enough times, then it somehow is imbued with uh, a veridical nature. So the question then becomes what would constitute data that would either prove or disprove the notion that the US is systemically racist? Now, of course, when we're talking about systemic racism, we're not talking about individual level racism, right? So, for example, if you were to uh, gauge every person's heart in the US and find that, you know, quite a few people were racist. And by the way, they wouldn't be racist in one direction. It's not race A, you know, harbors racist attitudes towards B, but race B can't do it in return because bruh, privilege and power or whatever the equation is. Uh, People of all races could exhibit animus towards inappropriate animus towards uh, those of another race. That is regrettably part of the human condition. So the fact that you could identify in the hearts and minds of individuals racist thoughts or in some cases racist deeds does not suggest that a country is systemically racist. So how could we establish that it is systemically racist? Well, we can explore whether, say, the likelihood of entering a particular area of excellence. Are you less likely to be accepted into university if you are of one race or another? And if you were consistently able to find that, again, holding everything constant, so you'd have to conduct the proper studies, right? So it's not, there aren't enough professors of mathematics at Princeton University who are professors of color, therefore, it's systemic racism. So again, conflating equality of opportunities with equality of outcomes is a classic sleight of hand trick of those who espouse systemic racism as a central defining ethos of the United States. If anything, the United States is exactly the opposite of what a systemically racist country would look like. Has it been systemically racist in the past? Yes. Does it continue to be systemically racist today? No. Absolutely unequivocal no. Now, let me give you an example of how you would conduct a study to establish that, uh, you know, a causal mechanism by which systemic racism might manifest itself. So, let's suppose I give you two vignettes of a crime that took place. So I put a picture of a someone who is being accused of a crime. I describe the entire crime, and the only thing that I change is the race of the person who's accused of that crime. So that's how you conduct an experiment, right? You manipulate only one thing. In this case, in experimental cell A, let's say the person is a black man. In experimental cell B, he's a white man. Everything else remains the same. And then you ask people, how much do you think this person should get as a sentence if found guilty? Now, if you find that people were to score in a statistically significant manner higher sentence for one race or the other, then at least you're establishing experimentally a causal link in terms of how people are imbuing race or incorporating incorrectly, so of course, because justice should be blind. But if they were prospective jurors, then they might be harsher towards one race or the other. So to simply keep stating the country is systemically racist when it isn't, right? I mean, think about it. Universities go out of their way, way out of their way, to be able to be exactly opposite of systemically racist, unless, of course, you are being systemically racist to whites or to Asian Americans, in which case that systemic racism is okay. Okay, so it's an injury to truth to hang on to such a narrative. Yes, the United States had in its past some ugly realities. No society doesn't. But in the totality of possible societies, it is a wonderful society, and certainly today. Now, the problem also arises from people's intellectual dishonesty, whereby they wish so desperately to hang on to a victimhood narrative that there is no amount of evidence that you could offer them that's going to alter their victimhood narrative. I have repeatedly referenced the following data from the U.S. government, which I discussed just recently in a venue. So the United States came out with data looking at the educational attainments of men and women across 4 levels of educational attainment and 5 races. So associate's degree, bachelor's degree, master's degree, and doctoral degree. And they looked at across 5 races, Hispanic, black, white, and so on. So there are 20 cells, 4 by 5. So out of the 20 cells, in every single one of the cells, women outnumbered men. So you could not concoct data that is more contrary to the narrative that, there is systemic misogyny in universities. It's the exact opposite data, right? 20 out of 20 cells across all racial groups and all levels of education, women outnumber men. So in this case, the data couldn't be any clearer, and yet we still try to find ways to be better allies to women in universities and have women-specific programs in universities. And whenever women don't outnumber men, then it must be due to systemic misogyny. So there aren't as many number theorists at Princeton University who are full professors and women. There can't be any other reason other than systemic misogyny. That's where the patriarchy has gone to hide, in the math department at Princeton. So it is such an injury to human agency, human dignity, to truth, to honesty, and it stems from a desire to engage in orgiastic victimhood. And when the victimhood no longer exists, you have to feign it. That's exactly what I talked about in the Parasitic Mind when I talked about the homeostasis of victimology. You set the threshold of victimology of a society at a particular desired point, just like you would for a thermostat. And if you can't find instances that justify that the set point of victimology is the one that you want it to be, then you manufacture victimhood. You fake it. You redefine what victimhood is, right? So leering at a woman becomes sexual assault. Catcalling a woman becomes sexual assault. Therefore, 9 out of 10 women on university campuses have been sexually assaulted. Oh, in small asterisks, this includes unwanted invitations for a date. This is called courtship attack, right? Now, I'm not making light of the fact that people should behave in a chivalrous manner, in a galant manner. They shouldn't be catcalling. They shouldn't be leering. But that's not sexual assault. It's not visual sexual assault. It's not verbal sexual assault. So again, when Joe Biden is repeatedly stating that the United States is systemically racist, he's at its most fundamental level, he's insulting the truth, but he's insulting the dignity of the country that he leads. The United States is not systemically racist. It is the least racist society in the history of humanity. Now again, are there racists in the United States? Yes. Has the United States had systemic racism in the past? Yes. Is it systemically racist today? No. So honest people update their narratives in light of new incoming information. That's what makes science so liberating. But politics is not science, and so prepare to drown in more victimology narratives as long as the noble Democrats are in power. Have a good day, everybody.